Welcome everyone to another video about what's coming with the elections, the midterm elections. So this is actually the 7th video I have done about that particular day and the alignment surrounding that day, because we have a new moon right after that, and then Jupiter changes signs the day after that. So there's a lot going on. And especially the intensity of these alignments, they are so extraordinarily rare and mind-blowing. And the fact that it's happening on the day of the elections is even more mind-blowing. So this is actually a special Halloween video because I'm going to do the chart for the progress chart for the United States of America with the new moon that comes right after Election Day, and show you what's coming, and also talk about what's been causing the violence lately, because we've been seeing a rise in violence, and I think that's part of the energy of these alignments. You know, as I said, Uranus is very unpredictable, but it's also the planet of chaos and revolution and things like that. So this is part of the energy that's coming up, and I don't think it's going to end anytime soon, unfortunately. So for those of you who are willing to watch this video and think about, the future and what it all means and understand what's causing this rise in violence, I welcome you to my special Halloween video, because Halloween is the day that we celebrate things that are a little bit scary, so get ready. And also say hello to Mr. Snuggles. He's my friendly neighborhood snuggle overlord. And as you watch this video, I think you'll understand why I call him that. Okay, so let's go look at the chart first. Oh wait, let me go share screen so you can see that too. Okay. All right, there we go. So this is the inner circle is the U.S. Constitution signing, and that's the inner circle. So we can see here, this is the progress chart for November 6, 2018, the election day. And as you can see, we have a new moon in the progress chart on election day, and that's incredibly profound. That's you only get a new moon, I don't know, maybe every 20 to 30 years. And I did the math, but then I forgot. So anyway, it's pretty rare. So that, and plus the fact that it's in Taurus, the last time it was in Aries, before that in Pisces. So the fact that it's in Taurus is even more rare. Okay, so what we're seeing here is a new moon the day after the election. So we've got a new moon in the second house across from, exactly opposite, a new moon in the 8th house of the progress chart of the United States. So, and I'm using the U.S. Constitution signing. So this is, these are the money houses, okay? And the second house rules things that we earn or own. This is our personal assets. That can include things that are worth money, that have financial or material value. It can also include our talents and our skills. So any kind of personal assets, and even how we feel about ourselves, because those are the things that allow us to draw in an income. So this would be sort of like the GDP of the nation, okay? And everything that the nation owns. So that's personal assets and our ability to earn revenue, income, okay? Over here are joint assets. So this would be the aggregate, what we would think of as the economy, currency, finances, national debt, the financial institutions. So anything that you can think of that would be in these money houses, okay, that's what's going to be impacted. And so we're going to kick off on election day, okay? So, and that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with who wins. When I say win, I mean like, will there be a red wave? Will there be a blue wave? This has nothing to do with that. This is about the future of our economy, okay? So even though the date is set for election day, this is the progress chart of election day, and this is the new moon that comes after, it doesn't have anything to do with Democrats or Republicans, okay? This is just our country, our economy, our currency, our financial institutions, anything that allows us to earn a living and our well-being. And there's, because Uranus is moving, right now it's retrograde, but it will turn direct again and move back into Taurus in March of 2019, and then it'll take 7 years to cross over. So this is kind of like, it kicks off on election day, but this is about looking into the future, 7 years into the future, and seeing what's coming for us in terms of our economy. This is mostly about our nation, but I think that just because, you know, we're part of the first world, these are trends that you might see in the first world in general, possibly in the world. But I'm just specifically looking at the United States, our economy, financial institutions, currency, economic well-being, all of those things, okay? So I'm going to show you again what kicks off with the election, what's coming in the next 7 years. But please, please, please understand, I am not saying this has anything to do with Democrats or Republicans. This is just our country, okay? All right. So it doesn't matter actually what happens in terms of what's happening here. It doesn't matter whether it's Democrats or Republicans, okay? So I want to make that very clear. Alrighty, so now I wanted to talk about what's causing so much violence lately, why there's a rise in violence. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that. And I wanted to show you something. I recently was writing in my journal, and this is what came to me. So this is like the tip of the iceberg, and this is what we're looking at, and this is yes and no. So what we're looking at right now is a question around, will there be a blue wave? Will there be a red wave? And we want to know the answer. Is the answer yes or no? So that's what we're focused on right now, the tip of the iceberg, which is this yes-no kind of mentality, okay? But there's something underneath there that's actually more important, and that's what we're not seeing. So I want to make it very clear that the Titanic was not sunk by the iceberg above water. It was sunk by what was below water, what you actually couldn't see, okay? And underlying that is consciousness. So I want you to sort of fix this in your mind so that you can hold that in your mind as I move forward with this video and talk about some things that I think are coming. Understand that consciousness underlies everything. And if you want to use a spiritual word, you could use the word God, spirit, love, universe, consciousness, divinity, whatever word you're comfortable with to understand what underlies all of this, the ground of being. And everything arises out of that, okay? That's the most important thing to understand, okay? And this is where we ultimately want to focus, is our connection to that ground of being, that divinity, okay? All right, so keep that in mind. Now I'm going to show you something else here. So let me do share screen again, and I want you to look at this. Let me shrink this a little bit and bring this up full screen. Okay, so this is something called the mouse Utopia, and this was an experiment started in 1972. And the idea was to see if we could create the perfect utopia, what would come from that. So this was an experiment called the Mouse Utopia, and they brought There's actually a very small population of mice at the beginning of this experiment, and they gave the mice everything they could possibly need or want. And they gave them food, housing, you know, just whatever they would need or want to be happy mice in their mouse utopia. So what they found was that over time, the population increased because there was no natural predation. They were healthy, they were taken care of, so they lived long lives, and they their population expanded and actually exploded. And what happened was that eventually some of the mice became very violent. It was almost like there were three groups of mice. There were some that weren't really aberrant, but there were others that were called the beautiful ones, and then some that were extremely violent and attacking other mice. So, it actually it's not really not funny at all. It's actually very sad because it led to a mouse apocalypse. And I want you to see this because I think it tells us something about what's happening in our world today, particularly in our culture, our first world culture, and in our country. So, so what I'm going to do is I am going to put a link in the bottom in the description box to this video so you can see it for yourself and you'll understand what I'm talking about, okay? Because this video that I'm doing here is very much needs this information as a foundation for you to understand what I think could be some of the problems, what's causing the violence. Now, yes, it's true that you know, there's been a lot of hate language that is stimulating this, but it is not fundamentally the problem, okay? There's something else that's even more fundamental. And that's why I was showing you this, that picture of the iceberg. I'm going to show you some other videos that I think will be helpful, but let me bring this back up, okay? This is what we're focused on, not just us, but the media and our so-called leaders are focusing our attention on this. We need to be looking at this, okay? And even more, we need to be looking at this, okay? And that's what astrology is about. It's about helping us to see all of this, okay? So let me show you another thing here. This is my, it's a collection of videos that I put together on AI, automation, RFID chips, Bitcoin, and the singularity. And at the very top is the Mouse Utopia. So I'm going to include that as a link in the description box, but also keep in mind that it's also in this playlist, and I will include the link to the playlist. So this is the most important one you want to look at to understand what I'm talking about in this video, especially about the beautiful ones and the ones and the intensifying and increasing violence that occurs in this mouse utopia. And hopefully you'll be able to see the clear relationship between what was happening in the mouse utopia and what's happening in our world today, especially in our country. All right, so then I have another very interesting video for you that I think you'll enjoy. It's called Beware Fellow Plutocrats, The Pitchforks Are Coming by Nick Hanauer. And Nick Hanauer is, as he calls himself, an unapologetic capitalist. And he is a billionaire. And so I think this is really good to hear what he has to say about the economy, because he's not someone who's angry. Like, he's truly benefited from our capitalist society. He has a very important message for you. So I want you to hear that, okay? And then, as I said, one of the things we're going to see, going back to that chart in the economy, one of the primary things we're going to see with this 7-year transit of Uranus through Taurus is an increase in automation, because Uranus is the planet of technology. So it's moving through Taurus. So this is all our material well-being, okay, and everything in the collective. That includes our financial institutions, currency, our economy, all of that, our material well-being. You're on the planet of technology moving through there. We're going to become a more technological society, which means more automation over the next 7 years. Unfortunately, there's a downside to that, which is unemployment. So that's why I put together this playlist for you, because I want you to be thinking about these things. What is coming in the next 7 years? So watch, please, please, please watch the Mouse Utopia experiment. It's only 8.5 minutes. Watch this video with Nick Hanauer. It's only 20.5 minutes. And then I collected some videos on automation, which is very important here. There are several videos because, you know, I wanted to include a lot of information so that you can take it in, you can educate yourself, and you can think for yourself and decide for yourself what you think about what's coming. I think this is a virtual guarantee that we are moving toward more automation, and that automation is going to lead to unemployment. Well, you know, people have already thought, what's the solution to this problem of automation that's going to lead to unemployment? So there are a couple of solutions that people have come up with. One is universal basic income, and the other is what's called the smart city, okay? So I have a couple videos on smart cities, and I've collected some videos on basic universal income, or sometimes also called UBI, and then some more videos like on AI and this thing called the singularity. So if you want to go on and watch more of these videos, they're there for you, and the RFID chips and things like that. But the most important thing to understand is not just the fact of automation is coming, but what are we going to do about it, okay? So, so this is for both you personally as an individual and as a society, as a culture, as a species. How are we going to solve this problem? Because that's the direction we're moving in, is more automation, which means less jobs. And so you need to think about that for yourself personally. How are you going to deal with that over the next 7 years? If you think there's any chance that your job might be automated, or that there might be a rippling out effect, like for example, I worked for CBS in 2007, 8, and then I was laid off in early 2009 because of the 2008 crash. So my job was not automated, but it was impacted by the recession. So that's the thing to keep in mind, is it may not only be that your job might be replaced by automation, but that if it leads to unemployment, if it leads to recession, possibly even depression, that it could have a rippling out effect. So you have to think about that too and be preparing. So I highly suggest that you educate yourself. That's why I put together the playlist, so you can educate yourself, do research, think about these things, talk about these things, come up with some strategies for yourself, whether that be being financially conservative, you know, getting your finances in order, and if you need to more training or education, you know, be thinking about the direction that you might move in a sense of a plan B. So I'm obviously not telling you to quit your job or anything like that. I'm just saying, have a plan B. It doesn't hurt, okay? Especially with what I see coming. So I also want to point out that there is a fundamental flaw with our capitalist economic system, which is that when an individual is fiscally conservative and trying to live a frugal, prudent financial and economic life, when they do that, you know, when they pay off their debts and they save money and they try to live a frugal life, which is fiscally conservative, it actually, if a lot of people do that, it actually leads to a contraction of the capitalist economy, which then puts more people out of work. So that's one of the fundamental flaws of capitalism. And that's why I want you to see the Nick Hauer video, because as one of my viewers commented below, he said that the reason why he likes Trump is because Trump is an unapologetic alpha male. Well, Nick Hanauer is an unapologetic capitalist and billionaire. And he has a very interesting message for you. So I want you to go and watch that, okay? The Mouse Utopia and Nick Hanauer. Those are the two most important. Then the rest of the playlist, you can look at the issues around automation that's coming and some of the solutions, possible solutions like universal basic income and smart cities, which have their problems. So don't assume that there's some kind of utopian panacea. Unfortunately, it's more complicated than that. So since this is my special Halloween video, I want to introduce you to my alter ego. Her name is Future Ivana. Hold on a moment and I will go get her. Hello everyone, I'm Future Ivana, and I'm one of the beautiful ones. Are you one of the beautiful ones? Welcome to the future, where narcissism rules. And people no longer connect in true face-to-face connections. Welcome to the future, where entertainment and amusement is king. Where we're all taken care of, so we can just play and have fun all the time. I hope you will enjoy this new future that may be coming. And I hope that you will be one of the beautiful ones like me. I'll see you there in the future. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that. And like I said, be sure to watch the videos that I link in the description box below. It's very important information. And check out the playlist. Start educating yourself, okay? Do research. Understand what's coming. You have a brain. Before somebody tries to hijack it, I suggest you start using it, okay? And start educating yourself. Do research. Think about what's coming. Think about it critically. Talk about it. And then I hope you'll come back to this video and share with me your comments about what you think about all of this, okay? And like I said, it's, remember, this is the day that we celebrate things that are kind of scary. So that's just part of life. We have to be able to stretch ourselves. One of my favorite spiritual teachers had this message. He said, you must push yourself beyond your limits all the time. That's what it means to be a warrior, a true warrior. Push yourself beyond your limits all the time. Don't assume that you need to be taken care of, that all your needs will be taken care of. Even your thoughts can be taken care of. Yes. That's what I'm asking of you, is to think for yourself. Use your brain, educate yourself, think critically, talk to people about it, then come back and let me know what you think, okay? One more little bit of information I want to give you is, and this also I want you to understand that like human life is not just about working hard, you know, it's really about a balance. So we don't necessarily want to live on one extreme where we get to have no fun, and then on another extreme when that's all we do is just like we just become bunny rabbits who play all the time. But yes, playing, having fun, celebration, it's an important part of life too. Entertainment, these things are important too. So I'm not trying to push you to either extremes. I'm trying to help you to see that there's a whole range of what it means to be human. And we need to be able to hold all of that in our consciousness. The consciousness, as I showed you in that image, is larger, way larger than the iceberg. It's even larger than in the ocean. It's everything. It's everything that underlies. And we need to go into that expanded reality and expand our consciousness and connect to that, okay? That's what I'm asking of you. So on the side of entertainment, I want to give a recommendation to a movie I saw last weekend, which is not something I would normally go to see, but my dad said he wanted to see a movie, and so it was more about like father-daughter bonding. So we went to see a movie called Hunter Killer. Like I said, it's not what I would normally go see, but it turned out it was actually pretty good. And it's like a espionage thriller, military thriller, and it's kind of like along the lines of Mission Impossible or James Bond or Hunt for Red October. So if you like that kind of movie, I highly recommend it. And if you don't like that movie, I still think, I mean, that kind of movie, I still think it's a really good movie. It's got some violence, obviously, but the story and the characters I was really impressed with, especially the main character who plays the leader in the film. He's an American captain of a submarine named Jay Glass. And the reason why I want you to see this is because, as I said, one of my viewers said that he liked Trump because Trump is an unapologetic alpha male. Well, this main character, Jay Glass, he doesn't apologize for anything, okay? He is the alpha, and he is the male. So in this film, he is the unapologetic alpha male, and he is an extraordinary leader. And that's why I want you to see this movie, to understand what it means when someone truly, truly, truly is channeling the archetype of a leader, okay? Because you can be an unapologetic alpha male. That says nothing about whether or not you're a good leader. You can be that, and you can be a good leader or not be a good leader. So this is an example of what I would say is it's an example of someone who is truly channeling the archetype of a good leader. And he's also an unapologetic alpha male. So if that appeals to you, I'd say check it out. Okay, so that's it for this video. And like I said, I hope that you will, this is the kind of video you may actually want to watch more than once because it's so comprehensive and all the different pieces fit together in a very important way. And this is one that will really challenge you to think for yourself. And I'm highly, highly encouraging you to do that. So come back and let me know what you think, okay? Love to hear from you. So thanks for watching, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.